Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is John Watts. I'm a consumer protection lawyer. We want to talk in this video about you've been sued and you've made the decision, I want to defend myself. I'm not hiring a lawyer. I'm not going to just give up and do nothing. And I'm not even going to settle. I want to fight this lawsuit. What should I do? I'll give you a couple suggestions. Number one is, if possible, go to court and watch your particular judge. Now, as I'm recording this, we're in October 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. At least in Alabama, where I practice, every court is different. Some courts, they're packed in there, okay? And other courts are the only people that can be in the courtroom are the ones that are actually trying their case at that moment. In other words, you sign in, you go back to your car, you wait for a cell phone call. So every court's different. Just find out if your particular judge will let you go watch a court case so that you can see how she acts. Is she formal? Is she informal? You know, what type of feeling do you have in there? And we talk about that in other videos. But look, I know that may not be possible with the pandemic. So do it if you can, but if you cannot do it, you can only do what you can do. So the next thing I would say to you is take that complaint, and obviously in this video, I'm assuming you've responded to the complaint. That's not the focus of this video. But take that complaint, that lawsuit, and any attachments to it. There may be a bill of sale, there may be an affidavit, there may be statements with it. Whatever is included with that lawsuit, and you've got to tear that thing apart. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, you've got to sit down and read every word, every line, and say, is this true? Can I attack this in some way? So if, for example, the lawsuit says the plaintiff, that's the one that sued you. So let's call it LVNV funding or portfolio recovery. It says the plaintiff loaned you money or created a credit account with you. Well, is that true? Did you borrow money from LVNV funding or portfolio or Midland? Did you have a credit card that said LVNV portfolio or Midland? No. Okay. So it's not true. So you circle it. You make a note of that. You say, hey, something that they said in their lawsuit is just not true. Okay. Now, what else? Do they say, for example, that you had a car that was repossessed and this is a deficiency? And this is fairly common. It happens. And you're looking around going, I didn't have a car. I had a credit card. Okay. So they've got the wrong type of sort of theory of the facts here. And so where this really comes in, though, because usually the complaint's pretty generic. It'll say the plaintiff or a predecessor, had a credit transaction with you and you did not honor your obligation. So it's pretty generic. But get into the affidavit. Okay. What does it say? Trace the chain of title. And I think we did a video on this maybe a month or two ago. How did it get from Capital One all the way to Midland Funding? Did it go like that? Or were there multiple steps? I'll tell you, if you have an LVNV case, and if they lay out the chain of title, you'll see it goes from, let's say, Credit One Bank to maybe Sherman Acquisitions, Roman numeral 3, to Sherman, some other Sherman entity, to Resurgent, to LVNV. Well, you want to note all of that because a lot of times they just want to say, well, here's LVNV. They say, well, we bought it from Credit One. No, you didn't. It went to Sherman, to Resurgent, to LVNV. And they go, oh, well, all those are the same company. It's all one and the same. No, those are all, look them up on your state, usually Secretary of State. You can look up the corporate structure. You'll see every one of those companies is a separate and distinct entity. So you want to know that. Okay? You want to know when they say the open date. Is that the correct open date? How about the charge-off date? Compare that with your credit report. Is that the correct charge-off date? They may put in the date of last payment. Compare that with your records. Compare that to the credit report. What does the credit report say? Both for LVNV, but also the original creditor, if it's still on there. And so you just want to look at everything so that you can point out every single mistake, every false statement that they make in the lawsuit. So if you can, go to court, okay, and watch, obviously before your court date, and then tear that complaint apart. Understand the rules of evidence, the critical rules of evidence. And if you're interested, I'll do a video because I think I've talked about these in sort of scattered videos, but I'm not sure I've done sort of an entire video where we just talk about the rules of evidence. So let me know if you're interested in that. But I'm talking about, what is hearsay? What is the completeness doctrine? Okay, what's the best evidence rule? So there's all these different types of rules of evidence that are pretty standard across the nation that you need to understand. So that when you're in there in court, you're not just saying, well, the rules of evidence forbid this. You know, a judge may say, well, how exactly do they forbid it? Or which rule of evidence forbids this? So you want to know that. So again, we're talking about, if you can, go watch court, tear that complaint, the exhibits, the affidavit apart, understand the rules of evidence, understand the rules of court. Okay? So you need to know in your state, how does this work procedurally? So you get sued, you file an answer. Do you file that physically? Do you show up on the day of trial and file your answer? I can tell you in Alabama where I practice, they sue you, you file an answer. If you don't file an answer, you never get to trial because you're going to lose. There's going to be a default judgment. So you have to understand the rules of court in your particular jurisdiction. And then the final thing is, understand how to act in court. What do you do in court? And I would suggest to you our video on the 7 mistakes that we see people make. And that'll give you a pretty good overview of how to act in court. In other words, if these are mistakes people make, well, just do the opposite, okay? And that'll put you in pretty good shape. So I hope that this is helpful to you. And if you are doing this on your own, just understand that, and maybe a year or two ago I did a video on this, that you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money. So if you're hiring a lawyer, you're spending money. If you're doing it on your own, you're spending time. So make sure you're committed. If you say, I want to do this on my own, I'm not hiring a lawyer, I'm not giving up, I want to fight them, I want to handle this on my own, that's great, that's fabulous. Make sure you're willing to invest the time to do this the right way, because you are going up against a lawyer that's all they do all day long is they go to court and they handle these cases. So you can often be successful depending on who sued you, what court, I mean, a bunch of different factors. But here's the universal thing. You have to be prepared. You have to put in the time, put in the investment of energy and effort, practice this, rehearse this, do everything you need to do to be successful. So hope that that's helpful, and I wish you luck, and let me know how it turns out for you. Okay, have a good one. Bye-bye.